What is up, you guys? We're back with some more college football. Week 6, Beat the Odds, college football edition. Guys, how are we? How was our last week with these picks?
I had my best week of the season, so I'm coming into this thing feeling great. I was 6-1 last week. I actually got a pick of the week correct for a change, so I'm up to 2-4 on my picks of the week. Overall, 21-13 against the spread in these videos. We're coming back to earth. I understand we're probably not going to keep that winning percentage the entire year. That's fine. That's the process. But I feel good about things. I think we're going to make some more money this week.
It's Alex. It's good that you are carrying our side of the team here. I'm over 500. Mind your business. 19-18. It's not great, but hey, it's a long season. The season total win over unders looking good though. Let's bank on those.
Bank on them.
Well, Penn State, I'm glad I went with my instinct there. Not only do they look good in those uniforms, but they play good too. And I absolutely love that pick of the week last week. But guys, let's get into it. Week 6, what do we have?
Well, you mentioned Penn State, Katelyn, so I'll start with Penn State. I'm going to take Penn State plus 2.5. And it'd be nice if that number got higher, if it got to 3, of course, or 3.5. But I'm going to take Penn State plus 2.5 at Iowa in what has quickly become the game of the week, one of the games of the year in college football. Iowa's offense is not good. They are put in a position regularly by their defense because of turnovers to be able to go 25 yards down the field and still score points. They have had the best field position of any team in college football. The reason for that has been turnovers. I think Penn State, with Sean Clifford playing better like he has this year, is not going to give them the ball 37 times the way that my alma mater, the University of Maryland, did last week. I think that Spencer Petras will not move the ball at all, really, against Penn State's defense without the help of those turnovers. And I think that anyone getting points in this game, particularly the team with the more talented offense, feels like too much value for me to pass up. So I'm on Penn State.
Probably a wise choice. Get me Wake Forest plus 6.5 against Syracuse. Syracuse is 4-1 against the spread. I don't think we've quite caught up to this is a decent team. And it feels very weird to say the following sentence. Dino Babers might have one of the ACC's few defenses that can slow down Wake Forest's offense. But sorry, that's
so
reality.
You're on Hughes plus 6.5.
Yes.
Okay, got it. I think that's a smart pick. I think I might join you in that exact pursuit. It feels weird to look at Syracuse and think, wow, they can kind of stop some teams, like they can play somewhat effective defense, but it's coming together. Great teams cover. They covered against Florida State last week, and that was a nice victory for me. I think if they can slow down Liberty and Malik Willis, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I think they can do it against Sam Hartman and Wake Forest. So I'm aligned with you there.
Very good. Let me also go with, all right, so last week, Navy UCF, there's a gambling trend. It's my pet personal thing is when a flex bone option team is a huge underdog, take them. Don't even look at anything. If it's a 3-touchdown spread, take them. Yeah. And I am kicking myself because Navy beat UCF outright. This was a betrayal of all my beliefs and values, and it's time to atone for that. I'm taking Navy plus 14.5 against SMU. They're probably much less likely to sneak up on a good team because of last week, but still, the trend says this is still a good pick. 2 touchdowns. If Navy can shorten the game, bother SMU, that's the entire goal. Keep it within a couple touchdowns, and let's go for 2 big covers in a row for the midshipmen.
Fair enough. Go mids. I'm going to go back to Penn State and Iowa for a second because I also want to make a note that I'm taking the under in that game at 42.5. Whatever it goes to, I think it's gone down in a lot of places since I put this in to 41.5. It might get lower if it goes, as long as it does not get to like 37 or so and below. I'm not sure they can set this thing too low. I just don't know where the ball movement is going to come from offensively in this game. I don't know where these teams are going to find points. And I think it's going to be an absolute slog of a game, as someone outside where I'm recording seems to be using some heavy machinery. Speaking of heavy machinery, the defensive lines in Penn State, Iowa. I don't think there's going to be a lot of running the ball successfully in this game. And certainly on the Iowa side, not a lot of successful passing.
It's probably wise. In any Kinnick Stadium game, if the over-under is 15, think about it at least. Let me go with South Alabama -1 against Texas State. This is simply a case of viewing Texas State as really bad and South Alabama as only very bad.
I think that
makes sense.
That's inspired. You have me feeling inspired. Texas and Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry shootout, hoedown, throwdown, whatever we call that rivalry. I don't know.
Roundabout.
Yeah, roundabout, something like that. Oklahoma -3.5 for me. Obviously, you'd like it if it was inside a field goal. I think that Oklahoma's offense was sneaky pretty good against K-State. They scored on 7 of 9 drives, and one of those other drives was the end of game when they were killing the clock. Spencer Rattler has struggled a lot this year, but I think that in the right light, it looks a little better. Like, he didn't play particularly well against Nebraska, but it seems, and I'm shocked by this too, that Nebraska has one of the best pass defenses in the country. So maybe that just happens. And if you look at Texas, I think if they can get bullied by Arkansas on the lines on both sides of the ball, I think they can get bullied by Oklahoma, which is playing surprisingly good run defense this year. In a jarring turn of events, Oklahoma seems to know how to stop the run. So I'm with the Sooners.
I think this season's single funniest development so far has been Nebraska's pretty good.
It has
just
been
okay to say that Nebraska's pretty good. It's okay to admit it. All right, so Troy has been an up and down team, Alex, for you and I for the last couple of years. We trust Troy. That was the mantra. They were killing it against the spread. It was a year or two ago. Had our hearts broken a few times. I'm back on board. Troy -3 against Georgia Southern. Troy has pretty good defense and only had, one truly bad game all year. I think Troy has by far the best unit of any team in this game. So -3.
I think that's a savvy rationale for that pick. I'm going to go to the MAC, and I'm going to take Bowling Green -13 against Akron this week. Akron is one of the worst teams in college football, obviously, have been for a while, but in particular, one of the worst offensive lines in the country this year. Bowling Green has had a couple of big sack games this year. They didn't have any against Kent State last week, though they did cover. That was another win for me. I think that Bowling Green could push around the Akron offensive line now that Brian Van Gorder is no longer the Falcons defensive coordinator. I think I like their ability to win this game by 2 touchdowns or more.
I'm going to follow you on that one. Bowling Green is 5-0 against the spread this year. Akron is, of course, 1-4. As the world catches up on the fact that Bowling Green is no longer Akron bad. And this is another situation where Bowling Green's defense is just by far the best thing in this game. I don't really know how Akron scores.
No. I mean, that's an evergreen statement, not knowing how Akron's going to score, but I think it's especially true here. I'm ready for picks of the week if we've got them. That's it for me until then.
You guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Picks of the week this week. I'll start off. I'm liking Georgia, the Georgia-Auburn game. Excited for that game. Typically, it's more of a closer matchup the past few years. Been more exciting to watch, but, I like Georgia -14.5. Not only is Georgia's defense ridiculous, I think they've scored more points than they've allowed. They also ridiculously beat Arkansas last week 37-0. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, -14.5 Georgia.
I'm very excited for Bo Nix against that defense. It could go so many ways. Probably most of them very bad for Auburn, but
most of them, yeah. Jason?
I just happen to be wearing the Memphis shirt. I'm going with Memphis +4.5 against Tulsa. Sure, I'm picking a team that just lost to Temple. So what? Everybody loses to Temple at some point. Penn State did that one time. But I am picking a team that now has a transitive win over Texas A&M. So Tulsa is they were very difficult to assess through their first 3 games. Had a very fluky FCS loss, and they hung tough with Oklahoma State and Ohio State for a while. But then they got blown out by Houston and barely beat Arkansas State. So I think at this point it's pretty clear Memphis has been the better team. And the only real question for me is whether I'm terrified of the environs of Skelly Field in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I don't believe I exactly am. So,
wow. Okay. Well, you're a brave man. I'm going with Coastal Carolina -17.5 against Arkansas State. Arkansas State is just really, really terrible, which is surprising because they are not usually terrible. This has become one of the most dependable teams in the Group of 5 conferences. It's not the case this year. It's not going very well for old friend Butch Jones, who SEC fans will, of course, remember well from his time at Tennessee. Coastal's offense has been destroying everything in its sight. Grayson McCall's hurt. Not exactly sure what his status is for this game. But honestly, I think that Coastal is such a finely tuned machine offensively and in terms of their pass rush. And Arkansas State is so bad. They've given up 50 plus 4 games in a row that I don't know why this number is not bigger, even with Grayson McCall's health being what it is. I just think Coastal is going to destroy, do horrible things, drag through the streets, whatever, Arkansas State. I do not think it's going to be a good scene for the Red Wolves.
All right. Well, those are our picks for this week and our picks of the week, of course. Hopefully we have another great week, and we will see you guys next week for Week 7, Beat the Odds College Football Edition on Odds Checker.